real life. Hello everyone. In this video we are going to learn how to build a visits counter. Practically what it does is, if you visit a page, it will save the value to local storage, and then again if you visit the page, it will take the value from local storage and increment it. We are going to build this application in pure Java. It's very simple. We are going to build this application in JavaScript, and I know I've taken a little break during a few YouTube videos because I really was learning the other technologies like MySQL. I've advanced myself a lot in MySQL, PHP. I've learned a lot of JavaScript, and now I'm currently learning React. And yes, you will get a crash course on React also soon. So let's get going. So what we have to do is, for you need a editor, text editor. For this program, I'm going to use VS Code. So I have an extension called Create Web Boilerplate. It's built by me. If you want to install it, just search Create Web Boilerplate, and it's the top one, the first one. I already have it installed, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Ctrl+Shift+P on VS Code, and then I'm going to do Create Web Boilerplate. This is the command that is used to create basic code called with index free index.html. It's just empty. It has the boilerplate emit, but it's more or less the same of the emit boilerplate, and it has the style sheet linked already, script.js linked already, and in the script.js there's nothing but a console log. JavaScript is ready to run, and style.css just a little, if it just changed the font and the background color. So let's get going. Now I have an extension called live server, and it's this one right here, the top one by Ritwik Day. It's really helpful as you can reload the file in the browser as soon as you hit Ctrl+S in the editor. So I already have it installed, and now if you have it installed, you can't see it very well because my video is blocking it. There's a little go live button right here. I'm going to click on that. Then it will the server run on port 500. It will automatically open in your browser. There you go. Just wait for a second or two. Here, now what we are going to do is, in index.html, change the title to visits counter. Then all we are going to have is need for the HTML part is a paragraph tag. You have visited this page. Give this an ID, because with JavaScript we can take the ID and put text inside of it. So we're gonna set the ID to count. Count, and then the this will be empty because we'll use JavaScript to fill this up page. And then we'll have another paragraph tag, times. So if you look at it right now, it'll just show this. Now we are going to style this at the end of the video, so first let's get working on the script. Alright, and if you don't know what's local storage, I'm going to explain it very slowly and for beginners. So if you already know a bit about it, you can forward the explaining parts. So what we are going to do is, we have given the ID of this paragraph tag called count. So what we are going to do is const count. This is practically a variable. You can set values to it. And document dot get element by ID. So what this will just select an element by its ID, and our ID right here is count, so we can enter it. And if you want to see what it does, you can just log the value. And I'm can't open the console, it takes a bit time. Yeah, so it's showing us that count element. It has pulled that count element. So now what we are going to do is, as soon as the page loads, we are going to run increment visits count. This is a function. We are going to define the function right here. That's tab 9, an extension I use. What we are going to do inside this extension is we're going to use let. Well, let's name this variable visits. The difference between const and let is const, with let you can just say visits equal to 5, and then you can override that into 8. This won't throw an error, but if you do that with const, it will give you an error because const is immutable. You can't change the value, but let doesn't, is not immutable. You can change the value when you define it like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a condition if it's an if statement. If local storage dot get item visits does not exist. It's the conditions in JavaScript are pretty similar to PHP. So if this does not exist, what we are going to do is, we don't need the curly braces because this is just one line. We can do something called an inline statement. What we can do is local storage dot set item visits 1, because if it doesn't exist, we can't set it to 0. We already have visited the page once, so we have to set it to 1. Now let's just do this part. See, it'll automatically reload. Oh, it's a bit slow. Now to see, you can't see it because we didn't set the value for the count. So what you have to do is you can go to application, scroll down to here and here to local storage, open the flap, go here, so you can see the visits. It's like how to say, like a miniature database, but you can't you can only get and set. So now we already have the visit 1, so if we reload how many times we reload, it's not going to change the value, because this will only fire when this does not exist. So if we delete this, if we reload 1, it will appear. Now what we need to do is, without if this already exists, we have to increment it by 1. So we can do that by visits, no, local storage dot get item. You can set this to visits if it already exists, equal to local storage dot set at get item visits. So now we are getting the visits. You want to see what this does, you can just log to the console, log visits to the console. So you get 1 in the application. If we change this to, let's say 80, if we reload this, it will show 80, but we do not need this to be 80 because we'll start incrementing from 80 onwards. We need to increment it from 1. Now you know what the local storage does. So now what we need to do is, again, visits equal to visit. I forgot to do this. In front of local storage get item, we are adding the plus icon, plus symbol, because what the plus symbol does is, it just changes. If it's a string, it will change it to a number. The example is this. If you say const d equal to, like this, if you say 800, and if you access d, it will show it in a string format. If you do plus d, it will show it in a number format. So that's what that does. Now visits equal to, so now visits is set in this, so we can access this value by just doing this, visits plus 1. Now whatever the value will be, we have the incremented value. Instead of this, we'll just name it const incremented incremented visit count. Alright, now what we can do is we can set the local storage values. I'm just gonna copy this, pasted it here. Only one has to be changed into this right here, the incremented count. That should work. Go to application 2, 3, 4. Every time you reload the page, it increments. So what we can do is we can show this value right here in the count ID. So what we to do in that is we can just say count dot inner text. There's inner HTML, but we don't have HTML content, so we should not use that. We are going to set just a text. So inner text equal to we can name it local storage get item visits. Okay. Let's reload the page. 8, 9. Every time you reload, now you don't need the console. Every time you reload the page, it increments. My computer's a bit slow right now, so yeah, please bear with me. Every time you reload the page, it increments. Now we're gonna add a bit styling to this. Have a Chrome extension called Color by Fados. I really highly recommend it if you suck at choosing colors like me. I'm gonna set the background color to this. So now let's go into style.css. All these are already linked because my extension already links everything. And if you want to see all the other extensions I've built, I'll show it to you at the end of the video. We leave the body styling. We'll just keep it. But only thing is we need to change the background color. So now, but the color doesn't look good. So what we can do is or hashtag FFF. Now we can change this to a h1 tag. The visitors page. What happened to oops? Page 20 times. I'm just gonna clear the count so you can style it properly. If this doesn't exist, let's see what will happen. We'll show 2. Oh, here's the thing I wanted to show you. If you delete this value, instead of 1 we set it to 2. So if you set this to 8, see the difference. If you set this to 8, delete this. This is the first time I'm visiting this page. If you just copy this and paste it in incognito mode, it will do it. It's showing I visited this page 2 times. So what we can do to fix this error is go back to script and say here else. If the local storage value already exists, we can just run this. Otherwise, this code should not be run. This, in the other hand, has to be run. So otherwise, we won't be able to see the value. You can only see the value for there already has been more than 1 visits. Now, if we do it now, it should work. If we delete that, die. Now let's get back on our styling part. Now what we can do is say body text align center. I'm not gonna save it right now because unnecessarily our count will get increased. Body, then what I'm gonna do is just throw it on the other half so I can see the elements in code at the same time. Because we are going to increase the font size of the paragraph tag. Let's just say large. That's alright. Now the h1 tag's font size also I want it to be a little increased. Oops. Font size 25 pixels. That's pretty small. So let's change this to 35. Nope. 45. Yeah, that's alright. Now what we can do is to say and put this into a div. Take this down square. So you visited this page dash times. Now we can style a div to have a little margin top. I'm gonna try and keep this clean and add the code for this in the GitHub repo in the description below. I'm not going to align it vertically and horizontally center. I'm just gonna put margin top. I just want it to be minimal. Margin top. That's a bit too much. That should good. 15 should be there. That is enough. Now I also said that I'll show you all the VS Code extensions I've built. So these are all the extensions I've built. One is an extension pack that includes all my extensions, and one's a theme. This is how it looks like. If you like it, I highly recommend you to use it. This is how it looks like. It's more or less like a Sublime text theme, more or less. Then One Dark Plus, this is my own version of the One Dark 3 theme. I have modified a few places here and there for my liking. But if you want to try it out, I recommend it. Then I showed you what the Create Web boilerplate extension does, and then the Bootstrap 5 and jQuery CDN snippets. What happens is there is no other extension for the marketplace like this, and I already have 685 installs. Sweet. What you have to do is you have to install two separate extensions. Bootstrap 5 snippet, and there's no CDN snippet, barely any CDN snippets. And if you look for jQuery CDN, there's barely any extensions. jQuery code snippets, you can't find the CDN. I built one that includes both. So what we can do with this extension is just this. Go to index.html, say bs5 CDN. Automatically you can have your Bootstrap 5 CDN at your fingertips. Then that's the same for jQuery. All you have to do is jq CDN. Hit enter. You have both of your CDNs at your fingertips. Now if you like this video and like the content, I suggest you I highly recommend that you subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this, and click the bell icon right here for notifications of my videos. And I will post almost weekly videos from now on. I've just taken almost a 1 year break to learn my codings. Okay, so that's all in this video. See you in the next one.